time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Gazzola with you, and we are both remote today. Tommy, I'm in Winnipeg at the Delta, my home away from home. Where are you at today, buddy? Where are you creeping?
I am. I'm about to shoot the first IIHF / Hockey Canada World Junior preview show going into World Juniors, and so we're kind of doing this on the fly. So I'm actually at director producer extraordinaire's Johnny Barada's house, and he, owning his own production company, has all of the studio elements
perfect
in his basement. So he actually lives pretty close to my parents. I was at the station. Did your show, the Smash Hit Nielsen show. We had a good one today. And then I had to stop by at Gretzky Hockey School really quickly, and then came and stopped at my parents' place, had a bite to eat, of course, at their place. And then Johnny lives right by them, and here we are about to shoot the preview show. Curtis Lazar is our guest today.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Well, yeah, he's a beauty. What do you get, 3-year deal with the Canucks?
3 years, $3 million. Very nice.
If only somebody could have convinced him to come to the Oilers. Wouldn't that have been something? That would have been
great.
Well,
I mean, there's got to be somebody in this city that could talk to him.
Nothing says remote location broadcast like a Popeye's chicken sandwich. Pick one up today. Soon to be open at West Edmonton Mall as well. And once again, I remember the first day those nuggets came out, blew our mind. So if you're not yet got your hands on those delicious chicken nugs, make sure you pick up some of those at your Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen locations. You'll see we got a new little ad down at the bottom there, Boston Pizza. More on that in a second. As the popular saying goes, Tommy, if you're not advertising with the Oil Stream, you're wasting your money. It's that simple.
I know that one.
Yeah.
I know that
very
one.
Popular, right? It's very popular. I'm in Winnipeg today. I'm the only guy ever. I had to run out. I was looking for a cable that I forgot. I'm the only guy in Winnipeg and maybe Western Canada today who bought a hoodie. I bought a hoodie this morning, Tommy, because you get great deals. Great deals on hoodies in the summer, bud. Check this out. Expos, Black Expos hoodie. How sick is this?
Oh, low tide. I think is probably just freaking out right now.
You just don't see those around very often. I had to get it.
No.
Yeah.
I like the black on black. I like the black on black look, right? With sports gear, I know that has a little bit of white in it, but I like that look, the blackout kind of thing.
The reason I like it is because it's a defunct team, so I can wear it on any of my podcasts, and nobody's like, hey, why are you wearing that on this one? Why? It's the Expos. Nobody complains about the Expos, so it's great.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Rashog, when I joined TSN, one day saw me at a Elks game wearing a Warren Moon jersey, which is, I think, outstanding.
Yeah.
And he was patrolling the sidelines with the 6-shooter at his side, like any good sheriff would. And he looked at me, and I get a text. He's like, don't you dare ever wear another piece of Eskimos Elks gear at a game again. Your seats are right where our cameras are, and if our bosses see you wearing that stuff, I don't know what's going to happen. And so I've heeded that warning. I don't wear double E gear to games anymore.
You're a season ticket holder, man.
He doesn't care.
I love how Rashog is dictating what you can wear to Elks.
Are you surprised?
That's classic. No, not really. I mean,
I had just joined our fine network. Yeah. So I'm like, well, the last thing I want to do is get bounced from this one. Yeah. So,
Oil Stream people can wear whatever we want, wherever we want, whenever we want, Tommy. So that's good. Especially plain white T-shirts like you have on today. That looks sharp. All right, let's get into it. Very excited to have Boston Pizza on board. It's the Oil Stream Appetizer brought to you by Boston Pizza. And I think the most important thing here is the patio is open. Okay, you want to get out on a patio, and it's going to be pretty exciting, actually. Tommy and I are going to be out at one Boston Pizza location per month. So we'll make sure we give you a heads up which location we're going to be at. You can swing on by. You can have some lunch. You can have a beverage. You can have a beer. Maybe on the patio. Who knows where we get set up? It'll probably be somewhere in the lounge. But, man, I spent a lot of evenings on the patio at Boston Pizza. So very cool that all the Boston Pizzas in Northern Alberta are on board. Happy hour every day from 2 to 5 p.m. and then again at 9 to close. So you got to have two happy/appy hours, and they got those for you taken care of as well. And, of course, they're always hiring. Boston Pizza, if you're looking for a gig, now hiring at Boston Pizza. But more importantly, the patio is open, my friends. Tommy, this is exciting news, isn't it?
I'm very excited, and I already know what I'm going to order basically every time we go there. And my favorite appy is the cactus cuts.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, I used to be a big cactus cut guy myself until I expanded my palate, and now I'm a huge fan of the Thai chicken bites.
Those are so good.
Oh, buddy.
So good.
You cannot go wrong with the Thai chicken bites. In fact, here in Winnipeg, there's a Boston Pizza literally right across the street that's open later than the Elephant and Castle here at the hotel. So I'll be over there. I'll be over there later tonight getting myself some Thai chicken bites and a little Belgian moon as well. So
I was gonna just say, are you gonna have an orange slice in your Belgian moon? Because I figured you'd be getting one of those.
Usually I go, but you know what? Lately, as I've grown up, became a man, turned 40, 41 now, I do put that orange slice in. So orange slice of Belgian moon and some delicious Thai chicken bites, man. Those things are. I remember for like my entire 20s, I was like, I can't try Thai chicken bites. I love them. I love them. Yeah, it's delicious. So it's a Boston Pizza Oil Stream appetizer, and that's going to be our first big story pretty much every single episode here moving forward. And let's get to this one. I think it's a very interesting question because everybody says Ken Holland did a ton of great work, which I agree with. But what was his best move, Tommy? When you look back at free agency, you get Kane, you keep Kulak, you bring in Campbell. What do you think was the best move?
I'll throw a bit of a curveball at our first appetizer, BP's appetizer. I'll say it was not jumping the gun on trading Jesse Puljujärvi and holding the fort. Yeah.
Whoa, what's going on here? Really?
I mean, like a lot of times you can get trigger happy as a GM and you say, okay, it's not working out. Let's move on. Obviously, he's been around for a long time, Dusty. Obviously, he's dealt with all types of scenarios in his many moons as a general manager in the NHL. And instead of being forced into a situation for a second time by the same player, he's waiting it out. And time heals a lot of wounds. And, both organization and player didn't necessarily enjoy the way the season ended for one another and with one another. And instead of just saying, I got to get this guy out of here, and he's talking about a fresh start, Ken Holland said, well, let's wait, and I'll sniff around and take a look and see if what's going on is something that meets our need. And he'll, I think, continue to do so. And if there's a deal to be made and one that makes sense for both sides, then it might be consummated. But the fact that he didn't just throw away a player that the organization drafted really high, developed, invested time and money into, let go, and then had him come back and mended the fence with, I think that was a wily move. So the other ones are bigger, sexier moves and get all the headlines. But I'll just say the fact that he didn't just shoo out Jesse Puljujärvi because he thought he had to, I think that was a very shrewd move and continues to be a smart play on his part.
Well, now you're going to suck me down this JP path for a second, Tommy, because
sorry.
You know, but the honest question here, like you mentioned the end of the season for the team and the player didn't end well. But is there any chance they can kind of dial it back here and say, hey, wait a second, for the first 30 games of the year, prior to COVID hitting and then him getting an injury, he had 23 points in 28 games to start the year. Is there any sort of, can they take solace in that and maybe the two sides come together and say, hey, maybe it could still work here possibly?
I think that's the last scenario.
Yeah.
Last resort, worst case scenario where, they're kind of stuck with one another. I still think that it's likely he gets moved. But if worse comes to worse, maybe he comes to camp and, injuries happen at camp. Sometimes you find out about guys get hurt training around the league. So that's always a possibility. The door is open, I think, to if the player is not traded by camp, like he's not going to be shunned and say, hey, don't show up. I think he'd be welcome back and, it'll be an ongoing process. But I think, again, I still believe, and I said it a few weeks ago, I think the organization and the player are probably headed to a split. When that will be, we'll see. But he didn't jump the gun.
It's a good answer. The other three, obviously, we can look at Kane, Kulak, and Jack Campbell. And it's very interesting to see like, you can make a case for all three of these moves being his best one, in my opinion. And if you're watching right now, obviously, chime in on the comments section here. It's the Oil Stream Appetizer brought to you by Boston Pizza, our first story of the day here. And stay patient with Evander Kane. Ended up getting him at what looks like a really good deal compared to some of the other ones that were dished out. Yep. Got Kulak back. 4 years for Kulak. I think he's got to be pretty happy with the term, but obviously is a guy that when you saw him play last year, you thought, okay, well, he can play a little bit more of an elevated role, and now he will have a more elevated role at a really reasonable price tag, $2.75 million. If you're getting 20 minutes a night from him as a second pair D-man, that's a pretty good deal. And then there's Jack Campbell, who I don't think came on a bargain by any stretch of the imagination. They paid market value for a goaltender. But for the last 3 years, we've been sitting here saying, you have to get a goalie, you have to get a goalie, you have to get a goalie. And he went out and got one. Now, am I like 100% confident that Campbell's the guy who can backstock them to a Stanley Cup? We'll have to see. Darcy Kemper just won one, for goodness sake. So I think I got to go with Evander Kane. I think my answer is going to be Evander Kane here because I know there's always a little bit of risk with Evander Kane. I mean, who knows? It could go well for 2 years, and then all of a sudden things turn like they did in some of these other markets. Or maybe this is just a group that he fits with. I think Ken Holland said, a lot of the players after the season said, we want this guy back. We want this guy back. There were rumors of 40 to 50 million bucks that he was going to be looking for in the open market, and you got him for just over $20 million for 4 years. This is a guy who, to be honest, I mean, maybe it's setting sights too high because of the way he played last year, but this is a guy who I think could very well score 40 goals. I'd almost be disappointed if he doesn't score 40 goals if he's playing with Connor McDavid all year, and you've got him on a $5 million deal essentially for the next 4 years. So I think, talk about the way he handled Puljujarvi's situation so far, and, Kulak went out and then came back around, and Ken Holland's got this whole theory of, if you love something, you set it free. And if it's meant to be, it comes back to you. And turns out, Tommy, Ken Holland loves everything.
Oh, my goodness. And they come back to him, right?
They do.
So
it's worked out
It's been working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in regard to Kane, like, if he continues to play the way he did on the ice, fantastic. It's that other stuff where I think he needs to consciously make an effort to fit in, and some people would probably be like, well, don't the guys on the team have to help him fit in? Yes, of course, two-way street, but whenever he's had a falling out with the team, it generally, when you hear the stories or what did happen, there's obviously two sides to the story, but when it's the player on three different organizations, there's a common theme there. So let's see if the lesson is learned and he matures and all that. For the sake of the Oil faithful, like, I hope so, but there's always that, creeping doubt in the back of my mind that says, when is it going to happen? When does something happen where there's an incident or something, he does something that rubs someone on the team the wrong way and the falling out begins? I hope that day doesn't happen for him and the Oilers. You never know, Dusty, because it's happened many times before.
All right, that's going to do it for your first ever installment of the Oil Stream Appetizer, brought to you by Boston Pizza. The patio is open at all Boston Pizza locations, happy hour daily from 2 to 5, and then again, 9 to close. And we will see you at a Boston Pizza location in early August. All right, let's continue with this conversation here on the Oil Stream, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. And Tommy, it's interesting because they bring back Kane. As of right now, if you're projecting the top 6 next season, how do you think they roll that out? How do you think that ends up getting broken down? Because obviously you got Nuge, you can play center, could play him on your third line if you want to start somebody else there, or they bring in somebody else. But if they were dropping the puck tonight and it's like, Tommy's got the pregame show coming up in 4 hours, make sure you're listening on TSN 1260. What top 6 do you think they're rolling out?
McDavid, this is obviously just me speculating, okay? Start there. McDavid with Kane on the left. And let's hang on for a sec with the right side. And we're going to slide down to Draisaitl between Hyman on the right. And I'll throw a bit of a wrench into this one and put Holloway earning a spot out of camp on the left.
Oh, wow.
So then Yamamoto goes to top line right side. That's a bit out there.
And then your third line is McLeod, Nuge, and an untraded Jesse Puljujarvi.
Potentially. If not, it's Derek Ryan if they don't pick someone up. I think they're going to sign somebody.
That's kind of where this conversation leads to,
exactly.
Right? Like when you look further down the list and you get to the bottom 6, if McLeod and Nuge are together, which I don't technically love, I mean, you need somebody else over on that right side then, I guess, eh?
So then, having said that, you could have Fogle on the left side on the third line with Nugent Hopkins down the middle, and then maybe an untraded Jesse Puljujärvi could still be there. I do think that there's going to be a piece or two coming in. And then you could have Ryan on the fourth line, McLeod playing center. If you really want him to play center, fourth line center, it's okay to start him there. Jay Woodcroft switches up his lines in game as long as he's getting his minutes. And then your fourth line left winger, it could be a Devon Shore. Devon Shore could play down the middle. Brad Malone, I think, is going to be in the mix as well, Dusty. Yeah. Honestly,
you got the Malones, the Shores, Ryans, and those
exactly.
Guys, right?
Yeah. But the caveat being, Puljujärvi, is he going to be here? I still think it's unlikely. And I do think that another forward or two is going to be brought in. So that lineup is going to look different. And Holloway, he might end up starting the season in the minors because last year, having missed basically half a season with that hand injury, that held him back. And that's a crucial part of his development and a big chunk of time. So if he doesn't necessarily knock it out of the park at training camp and have a great preseason because he's going to play in a bunch of games for sure, then he could play half a year in Bakersfield, light it up, and then by midway point of the season, he could be coming into Edmonton full confidence. Maybe he takes a third line role. Maybe he takes a second line role, and he just gets going and starts firing away, playing with some of the best players in the world.
We talk about bringing in another forward, and obviously they got their RFAs that they need to take care of as well. Tommy, when we just kind of took a quick look at the lines here, but right now, if you just look at their forwards, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nuge, Kane, Fogle, Ryan Shore, McLeod, Puljujärvi, Yamamoto. We'll see what happens with Puljujärvi. That's, I think, 11 guys. You mentioned Malone. You mentioned Holloway. So that's 12, 13 guys right there. When we look at other forwards that could possibly still be added here, do you think it's more likely it's a forward or two that are brought in, maybe not on a PTO, but a not even a Kyle Turris type contract, but a $900,000 type contract, or is it a trade of a forward, whether it be Puljujärvi or Fogle, that you think is more likely to get a different type of forward for this group?
I think I'll start there. Good point. Trade probably first. If they can't find that, then signing a $1 million guy type of thing. Because I think that even some guys that weren't qualified that are still out there, like the Heinens, the Milanos, those types of players, like is a Ryan Donato interesting? Would he be a fit in Edmonton?
There's going to be some good guys who are just looking for jobs, man. Yeah.
One name, Dusty, that, this week doing the Smash Hit Nielsen show that kept popping up was Sam Steele. I don't think Sam Steele fits their mold. That's just my instinct. I haven't heard Sam Steele's name mentioned from anybody when I have conversations. So that's why I don't think he would be brought in, but you never know. Again, that's just my take on it.
All right, so there's lots of questions that will still be determined moving forward. And, of course, we're going to keep pounding out the Oil Stream content as we work our way through the summer. It's all brought to you by our great friends at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. And now we also have Boston Pizza on board as well. And also awaiting the eventual return of the almighty Ken Morrison, who dials it back for the summer, but obviously be back in the fall as well. Yep. Tommy, for all this World Junior stuff you're doing today, when can people eventually watch that? What's the plan with that? Like you put it on the can for now or what?
Today's show is basically we're just pre-shooting a bunch of stuff. It's going to be a preview show, kind of a taster of sorts, an appy, if you will, for some potential sponsors. But eventually when the tournament gets going, August 9th, it's going to be double IHF / Hockey Canada produced digital show. So it'll be online, and there's some other features. There's a bunch of archives and replays, and we're doing some sit-downs and discussions with a bunch of alumni from a bunch of Team Canada players. And it's just added viewing and extra content, basically, while you enjoy the World Juniors, and a neat little project that hopefully takes off. We tried it during the World Juniors in December. We got 3 shows in and went well. And then I was literally on my way to day 4 at the rink, and I'm at Johnny Baratta's place right now, who's the director producer of it. And I had to call him as I was leaving my place to go to our studios at the JW. I'm like, Johnny, I'm not coming in. He goes, why? I'm like, because I just got a call to go do my Oilers pre and post game show, because guess what? World Juniors is canceled. Like, he was so busy. Yeah. I was the one that broke it to him. and that was the end of the first try at it in December. So we're going to go here full bore. Everything seems to be on track. And it should be a neat little added element, extra content for those taking in World Juniors.
Excellent. That'll be good. I'll be on TSN tonight with a very anticipated game. The perfect Stampeders versus the 5-0 Bombers. It's going to be a pretty good time in Winnipeg tonight.
I think the Stamps are going to give the Bombers a better run for their money than BC did last week.
Veteran quarterback being the difference there, you think? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. You got the two most accomplished quarterbacks in the league right now going head-to-head tonight in Winnipeg, so that should be fun. Now, that's going to do it for another episode of The Oil Stream. If you've been watching on Twitter, remember you can subscribe to the Nielsen Media YouTube channel as well, and, of course, it's always available on all of your podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. A huge thanks to all the crews at Boston Pizza for hopping on board The Oil Stream as well, and, of course, our buddy Furby and Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, the presenting sponsor of The Oil Stream. We'll be back with 2 more episodes next week, and who knows, maybe if something breaks between now and then, you'll get a bonus episode.
Hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. Let's get that algorithm going, Dusty.
See you later, man.